All right, it is Tuesday, November 14th, 2023, and that means but one thing. It is Takeaway Tuesday, coming off of Week 10 of the NFL season. We're going to go over the results of all the predictions that I made last Thursday. We're going to see how good or bad I might have done, and then we're going to get ready to get into Week 11 on Thursday. But for now, let's get into it. Welcome back in, everybody, and we are going to start to break down all the games from this last weekend, Week 10 of the NFL season, and we're going to talk a little bit of stats. We're going to talk a little bit of breaking news from this morning regarding that Buffalo Bills team, and as always, we're going to go over my predictions from last Thursday and see just how good or bad I might have done this week. I already know, and it's a good one. Let's start with that Thursday night game, that atrocious Panthers at Bears game. To be completely honest with you guys, I said I was going to watch it last week. I didn't. I completely forgot that game even existed. Like, that's to me how irrelevant those two teams are. I just did not even watch. Don't care. It was closer, obviously, than a lot of people probably would have thought, with the Bears winning it 16-13, giving me my first win of this week, going 1-0 in Week 10 to start it off. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right. Let's talk a little bit of stats. Bryce Young, 21 for 38, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 185 pass yards. I'm pretty sure Pat McAfee calls him Bagent or Badgent. I think it's Bagent. But 20 of 33, 162 passing yards. Also no touchdowns, no interceptions. A pretty quiet game. Rushing and receiving also not very prominent in the stats column. But again, I mean, what do we expect, right? The Panthers are at a loss at this point in time, I would say. And the Bears running up the end of, the tail end of the NFC North and just not looking good at all. Justin Fields, is he going to play? Is he not going to play going forward? Nobody has any straight answers. Nobody has anything really to say or give about it. All in all, just they need to flex out some of these Thursday games because that was atrocious. At least this upcoming week, we're going to get Bengals Ravens. That'll be a way better Thursday night game, a little bit more action, a little bit more to keep your eyes on the product. But this was just a miss. This was just a miss in my opinion. But I get to go 1-0 to start it out. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right, on to the next game. The next game is that Germany game, Colts at Patriots, and it also was awful. Just two bad games to start out this week. The Colts beat the Patriots 10-6 to give me a 2-0 start. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Killing it so far. At what cost? Both games were just god awful. Mac Jones 15-20 with an interception. Gardner Minshew 18-28, 194 yards and an interception. Just again, not good. Jonathan Taylor 69 yards and a touchdown. It's just not hitting. The rushers definitely did way more work this week than the passing game did for that specific game. If the NFL wants to become a worldwide brand, which is obviously kind of what they're looking like, is what they're trying to accomplish, maybe we send them good games. Just saying. Like, send them a game that, like, everybody gives a crap about. They're singing Sweet Caroline as loud as they possibly can mid-play. Like, I know that we're going to say that's just awesome fan interaction or whatever, but, like, that doesn't happen here when games are good. Like, when games are good, sidelines and stuff. The fans, they're all into it. This is just bad. It's just bad. It's bad. Like, I'm glad that those fans had a good time, but like, they weren't engaged in the game. They were engaged in the atmosphere. The game was awful. Game sucked. They shouldn't have even gone. Again, the rumors of Belichick peacefully departing at the end of the season and then going possibly out to LA or wherever he's going to go next still exist, and this kind of cements it a little harder. Mac Jones got benched for Bailey Zappi right at the end of that game. Mac Jones, a lot of the analysts still say that they think he's the quarterback of the Patriots' future. I think that he is a miss, and it is time to figure out what is next. Even if you try out Bailey Zappi for the rest of the year and then consider going to the draft or something into the offseason or whatever, that might be the route. But the Patriots have lost it. It was never how good is Belichick. It was always how good is Belichick with Tom Brady, and the answer is that he is not good. That's the sad, sad fact that all the people in New England kind of have to own at this point. All in all, again, trash game, but I get to go 2-0 off of it, so gotta love it. On to game number 3, which Packers at Steelers. I called the Packers to take my first loss of this week with the Steelers winning 23-19. Not for lack of trying. The Packers had a lot of really positive movement and stuff this week. I saw some good stuff out of Jordan Love. But the turnovers late, the turnovers in the red zone when it matters, when it counts, that's always going to kill us. It kills any team. It's just you can't have those things, and the Bills kind of show it too. But you can't turn the ball over in the red zone on a score, like a drive that you have to score on in order to win. We still got learning to do. We still got growing to do. All in all, just felt like a lot of missed opportunities with some positive pieces to the puzzle. There were some great throws in there from Jordan Love, but all in all, we got absolutely outplayed, outran more than anything. Kenny Pickett went 14 for 23, 126 yards, no touchdowns and no interceptions. But this Warren kid, with 15 attempts, 101 yards, and a touchdown, outplaying A.J. Dillon, who was the prominent runner in Green Bay for 9 attempts and 70 yards. Pickens got 45 yards on 3 receptions. Reed got 84 yards on 5 receptions and a touchdown for Green Bay. It's... Love still looks kind of like Love, like you'd expect. His yardage is still good at 289 yards, but 21 of 40 with 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That guy is throwing the ball an absolute ton. And by the end of the game, you just know the mistakes are coming. The game was not televised for me, and I don't pay the $500 for YouTube's package. But via Gamecast, there's always a little bit like you're watching the SportsCenter Gamecast where it's just showing you the field and what's happening, like it's just animating it. There's always a delay, and going into the last play for the interception at the end of the game, it just took too long, and I was like, it's over. He threw a pick, and sure enough, he threw a pick. If you think that he's gonna throw a pick and he throws a pick, that's bad, okay? And it's starting to be predictable, where it's like, 4 times this year it's come down to the last play of the game and he has an opportunity, and we're so used to Big Daddy Rodgers getting us those touchdowns. And while it's harsh to compare him to Aaron Rodgers, and I'm sure it was harsh to compare Rodgers to Favre, it's going to continue to happen. And when you have a quarterback who used to be able to hit those at all times and all costs, and now you have a quarterback who you just kind of automatically know that it's not going to happen, it tunes you out a little bit, kind of makes you impervious to it. You just want to move on. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to move on to next week. Packers get the Chargers next week, and hopefully we make some more positive momentum, and we learn a little bit more week by week by week all the way through. Packers lose 23-19 to bring me to 2-1. On to Texans at Bengals. I called the Bengals on this one with all that positive momentum coming out of the offense of the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow looking a ton better, and I got stunted again to go 2-2 with the Texans defeating the Bengals in the last seconds of that game to go the final score 30-27, and again I go 2-2 on my predictions for that one. This avalanche is starting. I can feel it. CJ Stroud still doing some amazing stuff. He's already being in the talks of MVP outside of just being Rookie of the Year. CJ Stroud went 23 of 39, a touchdown, interception, and 356 pass yards. Joe Burrow, 27 of 40, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Devin Singletary just killing it in the rush game, 30 attempts, 150 yards, and a touchdown, outplaying Mixon by more than triple, to be completely honest with you. Mixon only got 46 rush yards on 11 attempts and a touchdown. Chase still 5 receptions, 124 and a touchdown, but got absolutely outplayed. Sorry, the focus on this thing. Anytime, I'm a mover, this is what I do all the time, and anytime I move, it for some reason feels like I've left the frame, so it refocuses. Sorry about that. I'm sure that's annoying. It's annoying for me. But the Bengals just got absolutely outplayed, and it was close. It came down to the field goal at the end, but I expected this to be way more one-sided. I thought that the Bengals were going to show up and show out and absolutely crush these guys and kind of stunt CJ Stroud and kind of show that maybe last week he was a one-hit wonder in this MVP conversation. It turns out he's not. It turns out that CJ Stroud is legit, and I look forward to seeing what this kid does over the next couple of weeks for sure. Texans over the Bengals 30-27. On to Saints at Vikings. I called the Saints as I thought that the Pasternaut Josh Dobbs was probably a little bit more of a one-hit wonder, kind of in that same CJ Stroud boat. Turns out, again, dead wrong as the Saints fall to the Vikings 19-27. That takes me to 2-3. Not loving it now. Absolutely not loving this situation. Jameis Winston played in this game. 13-25, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 122 yards. But that Pasternaut, 23-34, a touchdown, 268 yards. You give that guy more and more time to learn this playbook. He fits into the unit. He's going to look ridiculous. And this might change a little bit of that NFC North outlook. The Lions still obviously are the Lions. But I think when Cousins goes out injured, you start to automatically think that their year could be in the books. It is not, boys and girls. It is not. Run game was quiet with both of the top runners getting under 50 yards. Pass game, Hawkinson just demolished the pass game with 134 yards on 11 receptions and a touchdown. Just didn't, this week for me was full of, there's no way this happens twice, the lightning in a bottle kind of routine, and I got stunted a bunch of times this week for sure. Again, falling to 2-3 with the Saints losing 19-27. On to Titans at Bucks. Again, this was one of those, I thought lightning could be caught in a bottle a second time, and I thought Will Levis was going to absolutely show up and just decimate, start to get back into that rhythm. I really like how he passes. I like his poise. Again, kind of reminds me of a Brett Favre era passer. And again, I was wrong as the Bucks win 20-6 final. That takes me to 2-4 on the year. Hang on one second. I'm going to step away just to... The sun has just started to mob me in my office. We're good, buddy. All right, sorry about that. I am back. I was getting blinded there for a second by the sunshine coming through the window. Back to Bucks Titans. Again, I thought Will Levis was just going to absolutely show up and eradicate this team. It did not happen. Love for this camera to focus back in. There we go. Now we're clear again. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Sometimes the technology just beats my butt. Yeah, Levis still, 199 yards, 19 of 39 with an interception. He's throwing the ball a ton. Derrick Henry only 11 attempts for 24 yards. You got to mix that up. You got to give Derrick Henry the ball. King Henry needs to run a ton more. In his defense, even White over on the Bucs side, 20 attempts, 51 yards. The run game wasn't the predominant thing, but Baker goes off, 18 to 29, 2 touchdowns, an interception, and 278 pass yards. Mike Evans, they need to give that guy a lifetime contract. That guy went 143 yards on 6 receptions and a touchdown. He continues to be their guy. Give that guy a contract to keep him there for his career if you're a smart guy down in the Tampa Bay front office. But I got stunted again on this one. Titans fall 6-20 to the Buccaneers, making me 2-4 on the day. 2-4. If you saw the number on the back of the card, just ignore it. On to the next game, which is 49ers at Jags. It's confession time, boys and girls. It is confession time. I said some stuff on Thursday. I did. I said some stuff. I said that it was time to pack up those igloo coolers. You got to throw away all the hors d'oeuvres. Get all the people out of the streets because the Brock party is over. I did say that. Boy, was I wrong. Man, the 49ers decimate the Jaguars 34-3. That takes me to 2-5 as I predicted that the Jaguars would come out on top of this game. That bye week did all the good that the Niners needed it to. Chase Young and Nick Bosa are just as scary as we thought they would be. Brock Purdy got his mojo back in the bye week. Deebo Samuel being back obviously helps. C-Mac breaks his streak of 17 consecutive games with a touchdown. Tweets out that he obviously sucks. He's obviously being sarcastic. He doesn't give a crap about that streak whatsoever. He's just worried about winning games, getting into the playoffs. And right now they start to look exactly like we wanted them to look the last 3 weeks. The Niners look dominant again. We'll see if they can carry it into next week and if the Brock party can continue into next week. The 49ers once again win 34-3. Purdy going 19-26, 3 touchdowns, 296 yards, and they just shut out Trevor Lawrence, who was 17-29, 2 interceptions and 185 yards. Run game was quiet for the Jags with ETN only having 35 yards. C-Mac 95 yards. Kittle showed up. I benched him this week on my fantasy team because why wouldn't I? He has sucked so hard the last couple weeks. He shows up and shows out. 116 yards on 3 receptions. And that nifty touchdown where he high stepped in from 20 yards out. Christian Kirk 104 yards on 6 receptions for the Jags. Again, Niners beat Jags 34-3, and that takes me to 2-5. Starting to look like a massacre in this office too. I'm starting to look like the Jacksonville Jaguars, just choking over here, just bad, just not a good time whatsoever. That'll take us to Browns at Ravens. I called the Ravens because why wouldn't you, with all of the positive momentum that they have going on right now? And again, I got absolutely proven wrong as the Browns defense shows up. They get a late field goal to win this game. The Browns win 33-31. That takes me to 2-6. The avalanche continues. The drought is on. It's not looking good in here right now. Lamar was 13-23, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 223 yards. Watson, 20 of 34, one touchdown, one interception, 213 yards. So they played very similarly. A little bit more attempts passing wise out of Watson, but still very similar. The run game worked out for Cleveland this week with Ford having 170 rush yards on 17 attempts. Odell looking pretty good again for the Ravens, 40 yards on a reception and a touchdown. That's their top receiver for the day. I don't know how that even works. Amari Cooper, 6 receptions for 98 yards. Lamar, they're just so comfortable, I think is a lot of it. They're winning in dominant fashion. They're getting comfortable. They might be overlooking some of these opponents, especially within their own division, even though their division looks really good. For the most part, with obviously little slips out of like the Bengals and stuff like that. But Watson, you could argue, started to look like that Houston Texan that we all knew before all that. Yeah. I still don't like him. I don't really care. His stats mean nothing to me. But gotta say that he did look a lot more like he did as a player in Houston, and hopefully the Browns can straighten some stuff up and keep the positive momentum going. This is a big loss, in my opinion, for the Ravens. You don't want to lose in your division and stuff like that when you're trying to find playoff spots. They're still out in front and dominating that division. But a couple more of those, and you start to question where they lie. And they get the Bengals this week on Thursday Night Football, so they're going to have to clean it up with a short week ahead of them. So we will see how that goes. The Browns stun the Ravens 33-31. That takes me to 2-6 on the day. Not a good one so far. Not good at all. That'll take us to Falcons at Cardinals. I called the Falcons because why wouldn't you? The Cardinals have looked like absolute hot trash the last couple of weeks, but Kyler Murray comes back and proves why they pay him the money that they pay him. Another late field goal to win this game. The Cardinals win 25-23. That takes me to 2-7. The drought continues. Not feeling it. Not looking good for me right now. But it's looking really good for Kyler Murray. If you're a Cardinals fan, if you're a Kyler Murray guy, 19 of 32. He had an interception, but 249 passing yards. No touchdowns. Hard to need it when you also have James Conner going 16 attempts for 73 yards. And McBride with 8 receptions, 131 yards. They outplayed the Falcons, and all that Artie Smith can say at the end of the day is we finally gave Bijan Robinson the ball. It's not enough to impress us. Taylor Heineke goes down again this week with an injury, and they're about to rely a ton more on Desmond Ridder than they wanted to, obviously. I guess we will see how that plays out for them in the future. Drake London was also quiet. I know that because he was on my fantasy team, and he's not on this list. So, shocker, I'm getting Calvin Ridley by Drake London. It's one of those, it's just that South area. They're just killing me. They're killing me right now. Killing me. Don't love it. It's not a good time. Cardinals beat the Falcons. I can't even say stun them, but Cardinals beat the Falcons 25-23 to take me to 2-7. We go to Lions and the Chargers. Lions at Chargers. I called the Lions. The Lions look absolutely vicious, absolutely dominant. They squeak out a win 41-38 with a last-minute field goal. I'm pretty sure this week the whole league saw 5 last-minute field goals. I'm pretty sure I also heard that is a record for the league. It was a gun show, man. From what I did see, obviously the game of the week was the Cowboys and the Giants. We'll get to that one in a minute. But I did see a little bit of the Chargers and the Lions due to some things in that Cowboys game. It was a gun show, man. They were both, every time the Chargers would score, the Lions would score back. MCDC is just absolutely killing it. And you gotta love what these Lions are doing. Like, I'm a Packers fan. I shouldn't even be saying that. But to see a team that has been so bad for such a long time start to have some real dominance and to just have a solid unit altogether. Those guys obviously want to win. They want to fight for wins. I love seeing it out of them. Jared Goff, 23 of 33, 2 touchdowns on 333 passing yards. Herbert, 27 of 40 with 4 touchdowns and an interception, 323 pass yards. Gibbs with another 77-yard day, 2 touchdowns. Eckler, 67 yards and a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown going for 156 on 8 receptions and a touchdown. Keenan Allen, 175 on 11 receptions, 2 touchdowns. This is an absolute gun show. If you had these guys on your fantasy team in any capacity, they boosted you a ton. I have Amon-Ra on mine. Absolutely awesome game to watch. That one had to be an absolute gun show from the start to the absolute finish of that game. The Lions squeaking out a win, 41-38. That takes me to 3-7. We're starting the climb, but it's still looking dusky up in this office at this point in time. On to Giants at Cowboys. This is going to be a very brief conversation because this game should not have been the game of the week. I understand that it is a division rival and that it's one of the bigger games that normally is slated for every season. This game was an absolute blowout. The Cowboys win 49-17. That takes me to 4-7. And man, I mean, Dak obviously just absolutely had a day. 26 of 35, 4 touchdowns, an interception, and 404 pass yards. Tommy DeVito went 14 of 27, 2 touchdowns, an interception, and 86 total passing yards. They had no answer for these Cowboys. The defense held up a ton in the first quarter. In the first quarter, there was a lot of, oh man, these guys could just defensively hold them. Their offense is garbage, but defensively they're going to hold up. There's only so long your defense can be on the field before they just get gassed and tired. That is what we saw this week out of the Giants, as they just had zero answers for the Cowboys. Brandon Cooks, 9 receptions, a touchdown, and 173 pass yards. It's just vicious. CeeDee Lamb is unstoppable still, too. This game is not even worth talking about. It should not have been the slot game of the week. And the Cowboys look absolutely dominant in this game over just a wounded Giants team. Again, I think the Cowboys are legit, but it's tough to tell when they aren't really... They have to beat teams that are winning teams. They'll have another shot at the Eagles, I'm pretty sure, down the wire. That'll be a big one for them for sure. But right now, they just got to keep positive momentum, I think. And they're looking pretty savage at times, for sure. So the Cowboys win that game. Why did I just lose it? 49-17. That's what it was. And that will wrap up that one, taking me to 4-7. We move on to Commanders at Seahawks. This one, again, ended up being more of a showdown than we all thought it would be, I think. Again, I like what Howell's doing. 29 of 44, 3 touchdowns, 312 yards. Geno, 31 of 47, 2 touchdowns, 369 pass yards. The rush game was still pretty quiet, with Walker having 19 rush attempts for 63 yards. Robinson getting 8 attempts for 38 yards. It's just, Lockett was also pretty quiet. 8 receptions, 92 yards, and Robinson was also the leading receiver with 119 yards on 6 receptions and a touchdown. Again, it was solid game. I called the Seahawks. The Seahawks pull it off 29-26 with another one of those last-minute field goals that we saw this week. I'm liking these Commanders right now. I know that the Commanders and the Cowboys will play on Thanksgiving. I'm actually really looking forward to that game. I think the Commanders look pretty legit, and if they can keep this offense rolling, they might do some stuff with Dallas for sure. I don't know that they beat Dallas, but they at least might put on a show in Dallas for Thanksgiving. The Seahawks feel really mid to me still this year. I expected a ton out of them with how good they did last year. I think everybody expected a ton out of them with what they did last year, with Geno being in the MVP conversation and all that kind of stuff. This year does not feel the same. It doesn't look the same. I love their run game, but their pass game does not feel as good, as confident this year, which is amazing when you have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf on the same squad. Hopefully they can improve as time goes on. But they win this one 29-26. The dubs are all that matters. That takes me to 5-7. And now we get into the night games. Sunday night was Jets at Raiders. I called the Jets again, kind of on the they're hoping for Aaron Rodgers to miraculously make his comeback. He's now said possibly mid-December. This morning on the McAfee show, he said it depends on a lot of things. A, how good his rehab goes in the next 2 weeks, but B, whether or not the Jets are going to be in contention by the time he gets there. That's going to be a really tough one to call as the Jets fall to the Raiders 12-16. That takes me to 5-8. We can all kind of point fingers at Zach Wilson, but Zach's show wasn't that bad this week. 23 of 39, 263 pass yards, and an interception. Could have been better. Aiden O'Connell, 16 of 27, 153 yards, a touchdown, and interception. Devontae Adams gets back in the mix with 86 yards this week. Garrett Wilson still looks like an absolute freak at 93 receiving yards on 9 receptions. Zach Wilson was also the lead rusher with 54 yards. That sucks for anybody like myself who has Breece Hall on a fantasy team. But, they need to stop. Same thing with as Green Bay. They need to stop making mistakes in the red zone. They have to get that ball in the end zone. Zach stepping out of bounds just like Dak did last week to prevent that touchdown. When they get in the end zone again on that drive, it gets called back with a holding. They settle for 4 field goals on the day. It's just, you can't be winning games that way, and the Raiders just outshow it, with that one touchdown being all that matters at the end of the day. The Jets did have an awesome Hail Mary attempt at the end, which was shockingly close. Shockingly close. They were right there on the verge of it. Good effort out of them. But again, if they can't keep winning, Aaron Rodgers will not be back this season, because if they're not in contention, I don't think he's going to do it. I think he's just going to rehab harder and look really good, hopefully, going into next season. Jets, again, lose to the Raiders 12-16, taking me to 5-8. We can all see how this is going to go. Monday night, Broncos at Bills. I called the Bills. I felt like the Broncos had been really inconsistent before their bye week. They got a couple wins there right at the end over the beat-up Green Bay Packers team and a Michael Jordan plague game, Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs. I thought there was definitely going to be a lot of clout there, a lot of just noise. But the Broncos showed up and showed out. Getting the turnover on the first drive sets the tone for the whole game. The Broncos pull it out 24-22 with another last-minute field goal. And you know what? The Bills just don't look like the Bills. Okay, last year the Bills were an absolute menace to deal with for every team. They don't look that way this year. Josh Allen going 15-26, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 177 pass yards. Russell Wilson looking a little bit more like Russ. 24-29, 2 touchdowns, 193 passing yards. The run game, Cook fumbled once at the beginning. They might credit him with that second fumble, but Josh never got it into his hands. That's a Josh Allen fumble. But 109 yards on 12 attempts. Williams going 21 attempts, 79 yards. Cortland Sutton looking pretty good with that toe drag touchdown. It's amazing. And Kincaid still turning out to be the leading receiver for the Bills with 51 yards on 5 receptions and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs not having a powerful day that obviously will affect the game. And this morning, the Buffalo Bills fire their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. They said it's time to go. We need to figure out what's going on here in Buffalo, start putting some points back up on the board. Their quarterback's coach, Joe Brady, will serve as the interim offensive coordinator. We'll see if it turns around what's going on in Buffalo, but it seems like there's more than just an offensive coordinator as an issue. Last week in the pregame, during the little hype speech, Josh Allen told the team to put all the stuff that's happening off the field out of their minds and just go focus on football. So obviously there's some stuff happening in their locker room that is taking away from how good this team can be. There's talk of Sean McDermott being on the hot seat, which kind of surprises me with how positive that team has been under his control the last couple of years. But if they can't win, if they can't consistently look the way that you want them to look or that they have been looking, then it is time to move on. And it's time, a lot of coaches and a lot of teams are going to be that way this year. Belichick, LaFleur, you're going to see a lot of other teams, I think, where you're going to see the hot seat pop up a little bit sooner because the teams aren't performing the way that they standardly would. And that always puts the coach in a bad spot. It puts the team in a bad spot. So The Bills lose 24-22, taking me to a total of 5-9 this week. Not a good week. Losing week. That takes me to a total of 29-28 on the season through the 4 weeks that I have done my predictions. I still have a winning record, but not by much. You don't like to be close to 500 when the numbers are almost up to 30 on each side. We're going to look to build and get back into the win column this upcoming Thursday when I make my predictions for week 11 of the NFL season. Remember to come on over here on Thursday for that prediction video. Please, if you guys could, like, follow, share, and subscribe for all of my awesome NFL content, as well as all of the Starship content that will be coming out over the next week with an impending integrated flight test 2 on the horizon slated for next Friday. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in, and remember to do more than simply exist and come with me into the uncharted. I'll see you guys on Thursday.